Our goal here today is I had emailed you the draft report last night, 2 copies. So the second one is the one that has the table of contents, which Karen, it took me such a long time, but my formatting is correct. And I am so happy that it's finally done. So there are altogether, and I did not add the appendices yet because I want to add those once we've changed this into a PDF. It's easier to do it as a PDF than it is to do it now, especially if the committee has if we have any other changes that we'd like to make. So just sharing, and I did expand on the section for radiologic technologists and nuclear medicine technologists. So I did expand that section to mimic what Karen and Sajad had put down for respiratory care practitioners. I also asked Sajad to do a little wordsmithing. So hopefully he can do that prior to our meeting on Friday for my section because I'm very wordy. So Matthew, I combined both nuclear med and rad tech together. But there's a lot. So in all fairness, Karen, it's not just the X-ray technologist, it's all of the modalities.
I didn't have enough time to thoroughly read it, but it looked very good.
Okay,
I think it was excellent.
And it
And the
was based,
table of contents, you did a great job on. I'm sorry it took you so long. I figured it did based on the time of the emails that came in. But
yeah.
thank you for doing that.
Sure, of course. And so just to go through, so here's our first page of the report. I put Friday's date. Hopefully that'll be fine. This is all the members. Obviously, there's one vacancy, and that's with the Senate Minority Leader, but this is everybody that's on here. Please let me know if you need your credentials changed at all. If there's anything that you need changed in your credentials, I'm happy to do that for you. So just let me know and I'll change that in there, or you can just email it to me. So proud, Karen, because if you click, it brings you right to the sections, right? So that was my big thing is if you click into the table of contents, it brings you to that area. And I think that will be good for those that are reading this externally. So if they wanted to just flip to a section and go easily, you can just go right to that section.
Yeah,
So that
I
was
agree.
one of
Nice
the,
job.
yeah, yeah. It was a labor of love, let me tell you.
I thought I put together, well, hopefully maybe my draft helped a little bit, but yeah, I didn't link, which makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it took a lot of back to my doctorate days of how did I do this when I did that report. Okay, so here are the executive summary. So really, I do have to give credit to Karen and Sajad, Matthew, because they really did wordsmith this entire report. They took what I had and they took all the information that was given to them and they really honed it into something I think is pretty impressive. I did change some of the dates because our first meeting was actually in June, not July. So I did change that. So you can see that that date was changed. And that wordy sentence, Karen, I'm glad you guys took the time to hone it down a little bit because that was unwieldy. So that these are the changes that we made that were made based on the executive summary.
And
So
I need to publicly state that Sajad is gifted. I helped, but he is absolutely gifted in wordsmithing. So for anyone who needs someone.
yes, and that's why he was sent the report so that he can look at that section that I had just revised. Main findings also, and we did a little organization. Karen and I had talked about, she had mentioned some things about things that needed to be organized. It didn't look right where it was. So main findings is fine where it is because it just kind of summarizes a little bit more. Karen, I am going to ask you to go through your section and make sure that your footnotes match where everything goes, or your end notes so they match properly from the reference.
You do have severe, just put an E at the end. These staffing shortages have severe implications.
What paragraph?
You would just keep going up, go down. It's in the second paragraph, second to last line, third to last line.
Oh, you don't like sever?
I like sever.
Okay, all right. So severe implications.
And let me just kind of go back to my footnoting. I think in this section there was only one for respiratory. Hold on. The main findings,
Here. Yeah, I see it.
it's the 31%, but we did in this one, I did it a little different because this is the same statistic that we also have in our background information,
Yeah.
along with many other statistics, but we just wanted one in here. But we put in, I don't think I need to do anything to the uh, um, end note to citation because we didn't the way we wrote it, it
Okay.
says according to data by the American Hospital Association 2021, and
Yeah.
that is in the reference section.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think we're all set here.
Okay. So I did I change anything here? I didn't change anything here. So I did change a couple things further down, but not in this area. So these two sections were fine. Task force recommendations, this hasn't changed. Did it change? I think he added a few more things in here.
And just we wordsmith it's exact same content, but just the flow of the sentences.
Yeah, and
Just for the first sentence. Yeah.
And I further defined what HOSA is in case they were not familiar with it. So I
Okay.
put what it was, just so that they knew that so they didn't have to look it up.
Can you hold for a second? I just want to go into, I have a different screen but I want to look at on section 5 where you have the recommendations. I like the way you worded something, and I'm wondering if we should match it here a little bit. Hold on one.
Sure.
This was support for outreach efforts. Okay, so do you mind if I just read it out loud?
Sure.
It says the task force recommends building partnerships with high schools through career fairs and HOSA partnerships. So I wonder if we should say partner with high schools through career fairs and organizations like HOSA. So right here, see partner with.
Mm-hmm.
Can we say high schools through career fairs? Because not all high schools are going to have HOSA.
Yep. With organizations.
And organizations.
And okay.
And that way it matches your the recommendations as well.
Okay. All right.
Just this, maybe organizations such as, or like such as, it actually it doesn't matter one way or the other.
Matthew, do you have any thoughts on those changes?
No, I was just looking down at your wording in the recruitment, and I think Karen's right to match that.
Okay.
That it broadens it, so it's not like, well, we don't know what HOSA is, so we're just gonna not,
Yeah.
It's more broad to say partner with high schools and then reference stuff out there that they can use as
all right. So then we move to the introduction. So this is just really the task force, our charge, our approach. I added a few more references here because I wanted to be the same as what Karen had put into her section for respiratory care. So I added the Bureau of Labor Statistics for some of the modalities that we have. So the relevant ones. And
can we just I just want to glance through that, and I apologize, I didn't read it as carefully as I wanted to this morning. But it looks good. So the changes were just in this, the only changes were the references, or was there more?
The initial change was the date when we convened.
Oh, yeah.
And then how many?
It's funny, I was going to point that out because I thought it was June, but I never went back in my notes. So good catching that.
Yes. Well, when I was gathering all the minutes, I realized that I was wrong. So we have, and then I just have here, I added in these 3.
Okay, perfect. That's good. We can move on. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. And then,
and I don't think we have all the full list of references in the proper format at the end of it. I think these are just saying these were some of the main ones that we looked at.
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
And then I moved report contents to this section. It just made better sense. It was at the end of the background section. So we just moved it up. Okay.
Yeah. And then I don't want to make huge changes, but we talked briefly about in the email I sent with our discussion. And this isn't, I don't want to make a huge deal about this because I think it's fine, but section 4, I believe, has the section 3 is the guiding principles, and it's just 5 guiding principles. So an option we could do if we wanted to, because the guiding principles kind of led us to all the decisions, is to have it in this section on here's the format of our task force, and not have the guiding principles be an entire section, but just prior to report contents,
Yep.
say guiding overarching principles or guiding principles, either one, list those 5, and then only have 4 sections. Now, I don't want to make it a hassle because you already made the table of contents and blah, blah, blah.
It's easy to update, so that's fine. Now that I did that, it's fine.
Does it seem like that's a better flow? And I wasn't gonna, we had briefly talked about this and I didn't think it was a big deal, but now that we have this nice section, it kind of makes sense that it would be in here for me. Like that kind of, because that's what made, like, if you're saying those are our overarching principles, they should come sort of towards the beginning of all the conversation.
I actually was looking at that, Karen, and I wanted to talk before, like, I like when I was doing it last night, I didn't want to make the change without talking to you and Matthew about it first. But I did. I actually thought about moving it, and then I thought about changing all the other section numbers.
And do you feel like it doesn't, I don't know, it's a very small section. I don't think it necessarily needs an entire section number. And then we would just make, section 4, number 3, and 5, number 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think, Matthew?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the table of contents and just scrolling through on my screen to see where it pops. So you're saying put the
Section 3, so remove
Section-
section 3 and add it right before report contents, not as a section, not as a separate section. And then only have the 4 sections for the report. So the section 4 would then become section 3, and then section 5 would become section 4.
And Matthew, the reasoning for this is this section 3 is the principles in which we use to guide our decisions. And I won't read them word for word, but
yeah,
they're
no,
like
I see what
equity,
you're saying.
inclusion. Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
So any decisions that we made were based on these. So those
Yes.
were the top. Like this
They
is
were
what
our principles.
these were our principles. Now here's all our content. No, I think it makes sense.
Okay, all right. So I'll move that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
More work.
Okay, it's easy now that I've done
Okay.
it. Okay, so here's the background information. So this talks further. So I didn't change anything on this. So you really, oh, I did. I changed, what is that? It's profession specific staffing challenges is what I put.
I like that. Should specific, this is just a little thing. Should specific be capitalized? I'm trying to think, and maybe not, but I'm trying to look at this title. Everything else is, that's why it kind of jumped out at me. I think that looks better. What do you guys think?
I did the same thing. So whatever you want.
Yeah, that looks fine.
Okay, and then I like that title. I don't remember exactly how it was worded before, but that sounds nice. Yeah.
And then I further categorized each of them. So I put current status. So I mimicked what we have up here, right?
Okay.
I just then put it in national and state vacancy rates. So then I talked about both of us, right? In here, in that section, talks about both or all 3 professions in here. I pulled apart, so I forgot that Dr. Kane had given us the outpatient data on the imaging professions. So I added that in here, the RSC report, so that informal survey that he gave of the 5 practices in Connecticut. So I added that in here as well, in addition to the national data. And then your section remained the same. I think I actually removed, only because I talked about CHA up here. What did I do? I used here that it talks about the shortage in all the professions, and then I talked about RT and nuclear medicine, and then in yours, I talked further about the information that you had indicated about the CHA poll.
And that's all in the intro prior to the
Yes.
do we have time? Can we kind of read that section together since we got this report late, just to kind of make sure? Okay.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay.
just a quick point out, and I'm going to keep reading, but more, I feel like we can wordsmith the word more, requiring more healthcare services. An increased, but let me come back to that. Just highlight it for.
You like an increased demand?
Yes. Citations, I kind of used parentheses. You have a number subscript, and I use parentheses. So we want to be consistent, but we can come back to that. Can you scroll down just a little bit? That's good there.
I did change your unclear. We're inconclusive because you had unclear twice. So
Oh, thank you. Yep, that's good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's amazing what I remember that I did.
Can you scroll, as long as it's okay with Matthew, can you go up just a little bit more?
Yeah, I have it. I'm following along and I have it up on another screen too.
Yeah, and actually I do too. It's probably easier if I do that, but okay, stop there for a minute if you would, please. What do you guys, and this is, I had this prior to this, but this paragraph on respiratory care practitioners with the CHA poll, what is your thoughts on that? Because when we talked about the poll, I wasn't sure if they were going to go back and try to pull more information, but we never did. But there was concerns when we had that meeting, there was concerns about who was, there wasn't
it wasn't as clear.
There wasn't conclusive data on who was polled, what
Right.
types of hospitals were polled, and it wasn't really mirroring what we were getting from polling hospitals. Is this fine? Do you think this is what is your thoughts on putting this paragraph in?
I think it's clear. I personally think it's fine to leave this here.
Okay.
I do have the reference that they provided, which I wasn't able to download it all. So their slides were just 4 slides. It didn't give information about who the data was received from. So that survey information, the survey results, is just a link with Adobe slides.
Just what they presented at the which didn't have enough information. When questions were asked, it didn't appear that they knew it, like how many people responded, what types of hospitals responded, and there's going to be such a wide variance. So, all right, so if everyone's, I just wanted to make sure everyone was okay with that. And I'm actually going to open my mine too, so I'm not bothering you to scroll up or down. I have it open, I just have to go to the right section. So
Matthew, what do you think? What do you think?
I mean, I know, I guess the question is how much are they gonna zero in on the specific data? Because I think what you're saying, Karen, is that we're underreporting
yes
what we think the vacancies are. So do we want to do that in this? Because
my thought is, I wasn't, when I first did it, I didn't know, should I include it at all? But it was something we discussed. So when I put together that background on respiratory, I kind of went meeting by meeting and things that we discussed, because it felt like it was all relevant information to include in this report. And that was something that was, a survey was done and we discussed it, but in the meeting, we also discussed that, there was uncertainty. They weren't able to say who was actually polled, what kind of response rate they received. So the question is, and I think this is, Matthew, is what you're saying, should we even put it in? Does it make sense to put it in if we're not sure if the data accurately reflects? Is that what you were saying, Matthew?
yeah, I mean, how it reads to me, I mean, it reads nicely, like explaining, what they did, and that it might not be the best data, but we're hearing things in other places, reading it when you say drastically lower than the amount being reported by respiratory leadership in the larger tertiary hospitals in the state. I mean,
I don't think
I
you're.
can go either way.
Yeah,
it speaks to that we did, everyone did their due diligence. They reached out to leadership. We did polls. We have the national averages. And to me, 14%, I mean, 31 is obviously, for purposes of getting our point across, is better, but 14% is still
it's still significant.
It's still significant, even though it seems like it's drastically low, it's still significant. Yeah, so okay, if you guys are both fine, I just wanted to point that out because that was something I went back and forth with quite a bit. And now and I guess my concern is now it's like more at the forefront because I kind of had it buried at the end of my report.
Yeah, but you know what? I think it's important that they see that this is what is being seen. This is what's being felt at the forefront, not just in the HR department, right? Yeah. So HR only sees the vacancies that may be filled by the temporary staff, but they don't see the true positions that are open.
Okay. All right.
So I think that's fine.
All right. I'm going to move on to reading the newer section.
Yes. So this is the profession-specific staffing challenges. So I talked about the two professions together because we're similar. There are some differences, but just talks about just what we do. So I mimicked what Karen had placed, and I pulled a lot of the information based off of just our own society page and our registry page, or certification page. Because I had to think that most people that are reading this report do not know how extensive our profession actually is. So how many different modalities are actually involved. So when you talk about just radiologic technologists, it's not just X-ray, it's everything else involved with imaging.
I think that's really important to include, and we don't know what the audience is. Are they going to scroll through this? Are they going to read it with, but if they wanted more information, it's important to have it there. And I'm assuming it's in here, but one of the things I really think is important with all of imaging is to explain the consequences to the people, the residents of the state of Connecticut. If we don't somehow address these workforce shortages in imaging technologists, we're going to have delayed reporting, potentially negative consequences to patient care.
Yeah, I did do that someplace. Okay, it's either at the end of this or at the end.
Okay.
And I think it's important to put that the demand for our particular field, they have to be qualified, they have to be credentialed, they have to be licensed in the state of Connecticut, because there's this push for things such as, limited X-ray operators, or so Lexmos is what we call them. So those that don't really need the training that we go through, or having somebody else do an X-ray just because they're in an office and they can do it. but they don't have the training.
Do they, if they do that, do they have to be under the direction of a physician? How does that, is that something that's allowed right now or it's not allowed?
Not in Connecticut. So
Okay.
in Connecticut, no.
Is there data that says, and I'm assuming there is, that's why I'm saying this, a study or report that talks about the negative consequences of not having a certified, licensed radiologic technologist performing these?
Well, I'm sure there is, but I didn't add it here.
Okay. But I don't think it's necessary because it's not that's not on the table for this.
That's a whole other talk.
Yes, if that happened, you know, then you pull up that data and we get into that.
Yeah, even Dr. K had said, you need to add more information. I said, yes, I will. I'm sorry. It's there. It is there. I have it. I've mentioned it. I've presented it. Matthew, what do you think, what you've read so far?
Yeah, the only question I have, because go up, can you scroll right under profession specific staffing challenges? So this reference, the AART, like I looked at that as well when I was looking for stuff. And I know the wording kind of comes from that because I think that's like job descriptions and like if you're looking into the field, what you would do. The only thing do we take out the word may in all the descriptions? And I know the references, I know what the reference is because I've looked at the reference. It's like, hey, if you want to get into this, these are things you may do.
So
For us as experts, we say, we know other disciplines help physicians during procedures that are more invasive to treat conditions without surgery, right? We know that.
So I can just say professions such as nuclear medicine prepare.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what they do. That's what they're doing.
So just get rid of may.
Right, because then I think it leads, and it might be nitpicky, it leads to be like, okay, well, they may help, but maybe they don't. Maybe the physician can do it on their own.
Yeah. Okay. No,
I agree. I think that sounds stronger.
Running a nuclear stress lab, I know that the physicians don't do anything.
Yeah.
They show up for a few minutes.
They're not starting that IV either. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
So give credit where credit's due.
Right.
It is funny, you know, when I looked at that reference on the site, I'm like, it is funny how they say may. Why do they do that?
So when I was looking up stuff too, I think they talk to, because a nuclear technologist can also work like, at a power plant.
Correct.
So it goes to a different thing. Like if you go into the nuclear technologist field, these are the things you may do.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I like that. All right.
This is just a little nitpicky thing. I think, let me see if I can figure this out. Where you start talking about the Connecticut 8 entry-level radiography programs rather. Right before there's a chart on length and capacity. Let's see. It starts with Connecticut has 8 entry-level radiography programs. Go up a little bit, I think.
I think it's down here.
Oh, my fault.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I read that much. So I'm looking at the paragraph. So it's the paragraph prior to that.
Right at the top.
Associates, okay, and the 1, 2, 3rd line, associate's degree this is just a little nitpicky thing, but should it be apostrophe S for associates?
I had originally associates as an apostrophe S and Word highlighted it for me.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think it's associates.
Okay. That's why we're doing it.
Yeah. Or you want me to put associates with an apostrophe here?
That's what I thought it. Oh.
Degrees.
I would say none or apostrophe S. So I would say leave it. Let me just read this sentence again. The degree offerings vary from entry-level associates, we have it plural, degree, 6 programs, and 2 bachelor degrees. I guess consistent. And it's not a huge deal, but
There.
associate degrees and bachelor degrees. Bachelor's.
I had originally this, did it highlight it for me? And 2 bachelor degrees, bachelor's.
Degree. I'm thinking if you did degree, oh, okay, so you changed it to degrees. Associate degrees, degree.
Associate level, do you want me to?
Level degree. Yeah, I would do that. Associate level degree and get rid of the plural for degree. Associate, get rid of the plural. Associate, just make it non-plural. Level degree,
Degree offerings may vary.
and then be consistent with the bachelor one.
It's entry level, associate level.
Okay, let me read it again, sorry. The degree offerings vary from entry level associate degree, 6
That's-
programs, and they're entry level, right? Entry level bachelor degree. I would specifically write entry level. I don't know if we have we have one completion program only.
No, that's right. A 2 entry level bachelor.
Bachelor, get rid of the apostrophe S and the S. Yeah. I don't think it matters that much as long as it's consistent within the sentence. Each of them are written consistently. Entry level associate degree and 2 entry level bachelor degree. I think that sounds good.
So entry level.
No, I don't think we need to add this, but I could if you guys felt like you wanted me to. I didn't put anything on. It's very easy. The data is right there. I could get it in 2 minutes. But for respiratory, do we want to be consistent on having the results of the board exams? Or
I think it's helpful because it shows
okay.
people are eligible to be able to be out in the field working. And if they're not, then why? And that shows the type of support that the state needs to be able to provide.
Okay. Let me look and see what we have and see if I want to adjust that. And then just with citations.
I'll change. That was for me.
Oh, okay, never mind. Then I'm good. I don't need to do anything with the citations. Okay,
So that was actually for me just to keep track of where I was putting things.
gotcha. I just wanted to be consistent.
I actually have to put them in for the state information. For this data, I have to add in where I received it. So I'm just gonna put a note for myself for the citation.
And I put for respiratory, I had a few of the charts somewhere along the line, I thought the report was supposed to include things that we talked about throughout this whole process. And so I put some data from some of the polls. Those were some of the charts I have in there. I think there's only a couple, but you're fine with that?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
fine. Mhm.
All right, so I
just
can
be well
I can
written.
go back and look at and see if I want to add another chart to that. I'm gonna write myself a note, but I'm good with that section.
Okay. All right. So that hasn't changed, Matthew. That section didn't change for her.
Okay.
The only thing, hold on a second. Did I move
We
something?
moved that paragraph because there was the paragraph on how
30.
we broke this up into sections at the end of respiratory, and we moved it to our formatting one, which made more sense.
Yes. Okay. All right. So then moving on to the next section. So blank page and then scope of the problem. So he did a phenomenal job with the scope of the problem. It
Yeah.
really does highlight why we're doing what we're doing, and the gap itself talks about what would happen if our recommendations were not acted upon. I think that needs to be able to be, it needs to kind of hit it hard. And I think he did a good job of hitting it.
Yeah. He took Sajad did this and did a great job. He took everything you had though. Like you did the hard work and doing the on creating the initial draft, and he kind of just wordsmithed it to make it very strong, I felt.
Yeah, he did. He strengthened what I had, so I'm glad. What do you think?
I think it's good.
Okay.
I think it adds to the,
Tells a story a little bit. Like,
exactly.
all right, so this is the guiding principles that I'm
Yeah.
gonna move. Okay, so we're just moving that. I'm moving it up.
Wait, go back to that for 1 second. When you cut and paste, number 4, just there's more spaces between compared to the other ones. So if you're just going to cut and paste, you might want to fix. Oh, sorry, didn't make it make.
Nope.
It doesn't want to do it. Maybe. Yeah.
It'll do it when I do.
I hate these formatting weird things, right? There you go.
It'll do what I want.
Actually, I like the way that looks better.
Yeah.
And then you can just cut and paste that. Perfect.
As easy as you think that is.
No, I don't. Trust me, I've done these things. I do not think that's easy. I'm very thankful that you're doing it.
So in Connecticut's current system, what Sajad did is he brought up the shared continuing problems and issues and inequalities in access up instead of having it after. So he brought those up because that was much more critical to bring to the forefront than our actual credentialing requirements, right? So it just talks a little bit more. Is that
Well,
what
I think the point was like, if you want to look at the credentialing requirements, you're going to look at that. But if you have this section at the end of the credentialing requirements, it's easy to skip over it. If that makes sense. So to put these shared problems and the issues that the main issues that we had identified during these meetings, to put that prior to what it took to become credentialed and licensed in Connecticut for all 3 professions made sense to him, and I agreed with him. But make sure you guys agree as well.
I do have to add for nuclear medicine, I believe that there's another board. So I just have to add that in there, I think. Matthew, do you know? I think it's NMCTB. I think that's who it is.
I'm getting, yeah, I oversee ECHO too, and they have 3 accrediting bodies too. So I'm trying to think, I think nuclear med has 2.
Yeah, so ART, and then I think it's NMC, I want to say it's NMCTB, something similar to that. If you can do me a favor, if you have that information.
I can email it to you because the lead down in nuclear medicine will know right away.
Okay. All right, so then I'll add that in. I added 1 nuclear medicine program. So I'll add that here also. I have to add that. See the little things that I see. So just really, it's the same thing that we did before. It just kind of bullets it out, right?
Yeah.
And then the recommendations. So here's the final section, which will now be section 4 instead of 5. So this is the introduction. Oh, look at that. I missed it.
What is it? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Good job. Good catch. Oh, and then somewhere, and we may not have this anymore, you talk about exactly how many meetings, but in the revision, we may have gotten rid of that.
I think it's 8. Oh, you got rid of the number of meetings?
I'm not sure, but we should, I'm gonna write a note to circle back to the executive summary and make sure we counted, if we do have something that says how many meetings altogether, that it's the right number.
Yeah, I think I changed it. It should be
Okay.
8.
Okay,
But if you want to look back, that would be great. So then
I'll do it in a minute. I'm just looking at something else right now, but I wrote a note.
okay. So this is just talking more about what we did as it applies to the recommendations, and then the 4 recommendations that we have. And these you guys didn't change these. You left them exactly the same.
There was one slight change, and I'll remember if I go up a little bit and I'll look at it. It was just not that one. Go to incentive. Yeah, go. It was the incentive. You just had the wrong word. It was just a typo. Incentives providing. You wrote by providing incentivizes.
Oh,
It was just a typo, but I think that was the only thing. Everything else looked great. And then, oh wait, maybe with the recruiting and marketing, that's where we wrote.
oh, you did change something.
Yeah, with the same thing as we just talked about earlier in this meeting, to really say it's not just HOSA, it's high schools as well.
Yes, okay.
I'm not sure exactly I can't remember what it was and what we changed it to, but.
Okay. Here, Karen, I wanted you to look at this. So in here, I talk about the field and how it exceeds our exceeds levels that we haven't seen in more than 20 years. I didn't know if you had something like that for respiratory.
Yep, we could probably, and this is similar to how we said it in the beginning. And I just that's what I was doing when I said I couldn't go back to the beginning. If we use that same language we did earlier in the paper in this report, and it would say something like the respiratory care profession. So maybe right after you have right where you have the mark there, right after you have the ASRT white paper, then type in, and I can cut and paste it to you, or it might just be easier just to type it in and tell me if you like the way this fits. The respiratory care profession is enduring its worst workforce shortage in history, period. I'll rewrite it again. Just let me know if you like the sound of it. According to data cited by the American Hospital Association in 2021, job vacancies in respiratory care have increased by 31%.
Okay. I'm going to leave that there, and then you can cut and paste it into me to an email.
I'm going to send it to you right now.
Thank you.
Is that what you were looking for?
That is exactly what I was looking for. Yep, that's what I wanted.
I'm gonna send it now.
I did add more information into here from the original revision that you and Sajad had provided.
Okay, let me take a look at the rest. The second paragraph is what you added, right? Or more into the first paragraph as well?
We added a little bit to both.
Okay.
But not much. The last sentence in the first paragraph.
Okay. I think it looks good. It kind of summarizes.
And then here are all the references that were used. And then the appendices will be the meeting summaries. It'll be, so I'm not going to add them now. So I have all the meeting summaries from all the meetings except for our last one. Peter, I'm not sure if you have that available to you, but that I can add whatever in from last week's meeting, as well as the the RSC report, the survey, that survey. I can't link the Adobe slides. I can't print them. I can't do that. So I just linked them in the references. I think it's under Kidwell. Here it is. So this is where I put their survey results
Yep.
because I wasn't able to link them at all.
Oh, I think that's a good place to put them.
Okay, so I put them there. Is there anything else? I don't feel it's necessary to put our presentations in it would make this very large. So I don't think adding in the presentations, I think the meeting summaries are fine.
Yeah, I agree.
It
And
shows.
nobody's gonna, it would be too much. No one's gonna go back. I did just email you that line.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
And I'm just looking quickly so I don't forget on the number. Well, you can keep going. I'm just kind of glancing through it. I don't see it.
So that is pretty much the report. I think all right, I added in for you.
Perfect. And I know both Sajad, oh no, maybe not. Sajad, actually, I have a little bit more. I have a couple more credentials. I'll email that as well.
Okay. Matthew, is there any credentials that you want me to add for you?
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right. Any further questions or revisions that you feel are necessary for this?
No, I think this came together really nicely.
I think you guys did a wonderful job. It reads very well. Like, I read it cold this morning. Right. So I saw some of it, but then with all the added, it to me, it flowed really well.
Good.
I think someone just reading it will, not be overwhelmed and get the story from start to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I like the way it looks. So you'll get me the information about the credentialing,
Okay.
for nuke med.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe it's the NMTCB. It's a Nuclear Medicine Technology Certification Board. Well, let me just verify that and I'll send you an email. You can
Okay,
get it either AART or them.
all right, and then I'll add the information in about the nuclear medicine program. So I'll add that in as well. If there's any information I can find, I'll add in that to the background information. So like rates, etc. Okay. All right. I think it looks pretty good. I'm proud of it. You guys feel pretty good with
You
it?
should be proud of it. Yes, I feel good. I'm happy that this is, I know we're gonna have more work because we're gonna be testifying and all that. Hopefully we're gonna be doing that, but this is very gratifying that we've gotten this far.
Yeah, we've gotten this far.
Yeah.
So I think that once I make those changes, I'll send it back out to you to look over. But I think I want to send just what we have over to Peter to be able to give to the other members so they can start to read it in advance of Friday's meeting.
I think that makes the most sense because we can always say these were changes we made after you got this. It gives people time to process.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Any other questions or anything else that you'd like to add?
No, great job.
Thank you.
Nice job.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Peter, I will send you, once I make these tiny revisions, I'll send it to you probably in the next couple of hours. If you would be able to distribute that to the members, that would be wonderful.
Okay, I'll do that.
Along with the agenda, which I'll get to you. All right. All right.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.